Hello, everyone. This is Tom, your host for the Hidden Truths channel. I hope everybody is having a great weekend. Tonight's live stream is going to be on the UFO Files, the Hantavirus, and the continuing Iranian conflict. So it's been an interesting week, and there's a lot to talk about. But first, I want to talk about my channel. I got an X account too called Hidden Truth 76. Anyway, boy, that account's really taken off today, which I appreciate. I'm going to welcome all my X followers that will be watching this on the replay. But thank you for all the support to help get the word out and stuff, to help get our country back. But appreciate y'all being here. Yeah, I have quite a little bit of a growth on X today. So it makes me almost feel like my channel might be shadow banned or censored on this platform. Because, it's really caught on. And, I released the same videos that I post on YouTube. I put over there. I really don't put nothing different on there. But I tell you what, X is really liking it. I appreciate it. But like I said, I think YouTube may be doing a little shadow banning and stuff like now, not sending out notifications and stuff for people to show up. All I know is I don't know what it takes to get monetized on X, but it's going a lot faster than it was here. Heck, if this continues on X, I'll have more followers than subscribers. More followers on X than I do subscribers on YouTube in, a month. And it's taken me a year and a half to build this channel just to get 1,600, even though I have over 1 million views. But anyway, yeah, crazy times. So appreciate all you new followers on X. It's kind of a different platform. I'm still trying to figure it out. And one thing on X today, I didn't realize that X had a video chat, like Messenger on Facebook. I didn't realize X had a video chat because I got a video chat from X, right? It had been from X, from something I'd never seen before. And I'm not going to say whose name was on the call, but I couldn't figure out how to answer it. I saw the red X to hang up. And then there were two other things on the bottom, one for speaker, headphones, and I forget what the middle one was. And then I guess I should have punched on your picture to answer it because I didn't know how to answer it. So if that was really you who called, I didn't know how to answer it. I'm kind of stuck in the 1980s with a lot of things, but it kind of set me back a little bit. But I realize I've been doing good on X, but that phone call, that would have been mean I was doing exceptional. So, hello, how are you doing tonight? Well, I tell you what, I want to get on with the subject here. I need a few more people to show up so we can start talking about these UFO files. It's definitely been interesting. Well, not like I don't believe in UFOs or aliens and stuff. But for the government to sit there and be throwing this out now, whatever it may be, a distraction, they may be trying to get us all ready for disclosure, to try to get people ready to hear truth that we never thought we'd hear. I don't know, but these UFO files are pretty strange, right? Tell you what, you go back on my channel and see what I think about UFO alien abductions and stuff. That's going to be another thing. If they're going to sit there and say that, UFOs probably exist, so alien abductions exist too. So people had experiences that are true. Bob Lazar, all that stuff. Anyway, this is the thing, people. We are not alone in this universe that never ends and is always growing, always expanding. I mean, that would be the biggest waste of space there ever was. I mean, it's a mathematical impossibility for life not to exist on other planets, an intelligent life more intelligent than us, and life that's not as intelligent as us. Okay? That's just the facts. All right? And I don't care what anybody says about it. It's a mathematical impossibility. The odds are impossible. A lot of people don't understand that the universe is constantly growing, expanding, getting bigger. Okay? That's why, when they sit there and they get these powerful telescopes that look 3 million years into the past, looking at light from the past and stuff, as the universe was expanding past that point. Anyway, but yeah, these UFO files. I'm sure anybody who's lived for any certain amount of time has seen something in the sky that doesn't look right, okay? Doesn't fit in with our understanding of physics and the laws of nature, and knowing that aircraft can't make 90-degree turns traveling at very fast speeds without, no pilot could, no human being could absorb such G-forces like that. But anyway, we've all seen stuff. I mean, the sky's been so clear out here lately, and there's I need to get my digital camera work. I got a really nice digital camera from my brother and start taking video of this. But all these, kind of like they were showing in those videos, light orbs, and you can see that they're definitely below the stars, moving at a fast rate of speed. And then one night I had a swarm of them, not all together, but in a short amount of time, moving from west to east. And then the first one was there was a red flash. I don't know how to describe it. But anyway, I've been seeing a lot of weird stuff too. Okay. And then let's get into NASA, okay? And astronauts, what they've seen. I mean, they said every mission to the moon saw strange stuff. I know Buzz Aldrin tried talking about it. These guys were silent, so they knew alien life existed. And when they were on the moon and they were taking pictures of this stuff, these phenomenon that were in the sky, maybe that was a way, of them telling. Well, obviously they weren't afraid to show they were existing, but that was all silence and stuff. Nobody wonder why we didn't go back to the moon. Kind of makes you wonder, huh? Maybe we aren't allowed to go back to the moon. Anyway, we flew. Well, I'm not going to get into the conspiracies of the last mission. What was that? Artemis or whatever, that mission they had that circled the moon. I'm not going to get into that, whether it was fake or not. But, people have known for a long time, seen the evidence. Just like you, if you've seen something that doesn't add up, and you can say there's no way that was man-made, okay? And you were ridiculed, what they do in Operation Blue Book. Oh, you're seeing swamp gas. Insulting people. And I'm not saying some people didn't make it up. This is the thing with the UFO stories. Okay? It's not like you have to prove 90% of them are right. All you got to do is prove is one is right. Just one UFO story is right. And then it's a known fact, okay? But they'll never allow, well, I don't know, these days with all the stuff they need to cover up, with all the bad stuff in the world, would they disclose all this? See, if the truth really came out that human beings were, let's say we were a penal planet, or find out we're just, one of those marbles in that Men in Black, our galaxy's just a marble, in a bag full of marbles. Wouldn't that be crazy? You know, our society would break down. All the authority that we would unconsciously give these people over us would disappear. It would be a totally different world. You know, the belief systems would change. The way they existed would change. How they felt about the future and stuff. It would tear at the fabric of our culture. And you know why it'd be even worse than if we would have found out, like, I don't know, in 1947 or when, you know, some other before that, because they kept it a lie. So, a lie. If you saw it, you were ridiculed. If you saw anything that went against the norm and the narrative, you were ridiculed. Just like today, right? Just ask my social media channel, okay? But yeah, you were ridiculed. You know, you had experts come out, so-called experts that said, there's no way there's life on other planets more intelligent than us. We're the best the universe has to offer. All I got to say, if that's the truth, this is the biggest fucking waste of space there ever was, our universe. Anybody, you know, the universe was around 14.5 billion years before human beings were. I mean, the Earth has been around 4.5 billion years. How many species have survived, lived on our planet, intelligent species, that we don't even know about? You know, the only thing that mankind finds out, they think they know everything until tomorrow comes and realizes they didn't know everything. So, you know, what's disclosure going to bring? It's going to be a distraction. This is the thing, too. 20, 30 years ago, you'd have talked about disclosure and the stuff they're releasing now. That would have been crazy time everywhere. That would have been the number one story forever. Now it's like a side note. A freaking side note. Oh, hey, alien life exists. Who cares? How much is my gas going down? I mean, we actually live in a time now where disclosure isn't going to mean like it would have 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 15 years ago. It's not going to be the distraction they want, okay? Because everybody, did my gas go down? I'm still living in my car. All right? Come on, YouTube. I don't even have anybody here. And you're going to put the hammer down on me? Would I get too many views from X today? Like I say, sure appreciate X. Let me help get the word out and stuff. But YouTube, boy, they let this one out at all. So I'll get a lot more views on the replay. That's okay. Because, you know, all these people that want to silence us, they're going to deal with the same shit too. Well, I mean, they're trying to silence people like me. Let's say we're tin foil wearing head fucking crazy people, right? Well, if that craziness comes, they're going to have to deal with it too. The thing is, it must not be too crazy if they don't want you to talk about it. So, anyway, but yeah, YouTube, this platform has got me shut down. They just, I didn't grow up in a time where, I grew up in a time where they say, if you want to be heard, speak up. If you have an opinion and you don't voice it, it's your own goddamn fault. And everybody used to listen. Okay? Whether you took it for, you know, we used to have discussions and debates, not like they have today. But now you want to give your opinion or how you see the truth, and it goes against the narrative. Let's say, you know, you want to talk about the COVID crap. and saying, hey, don't do none of that stuff. They're setting you up, and you went against the narrative. Well, you got channels canceled and stuff. The truth is so dark, you better off not knowing. Oh, I tell you what, yeah, it's scary. Yeah, a lot of people aren't ready. We're not even, this country as America is not even ready to be a third world country that we may become. The truth that's out there about, just think of everything from them. Remember in the 50s, they were shooting syphilis in the black people in the South, or was that the 40s? Okay, whatever, all of that stuff, the cloud seeding stuff, heart, every secret the government has kept, all the bad stuff that they had done. If that were all to come out and you would know about it, a lot of people would have had, I don't know what you would have, PTSD. I mean, like you say, you'd be like one of the Germans that had to tour the death camps after they were liberated, so the Germans could see what their government had done. I mean, knowing who actually shot JFK, all that stuff. I mean, the secrets that are out there, the ways they have pushed society in a certain direction to hurt us through that gate, so we can start going down that alleyway, and they can start processing all of us in the head gate to use ranching. What do you think of the war in Iran? I'm going to get to that anonymous 1776, and I love the name. I love the name. You need to watch some other content, sir. I'm a Marine that's had a fucking neff. Time to start our militias. Anyway, what do you think of the war in Iran? Like I say, we're going to get to that. We'll do that next. But just with this alien thing, okay? It's like the government coming and selling us like, yeah, we were lying to you for years to protect you, but now we're going to come out with the truth. I don't know. I don't know how to read the whole thing. All I know is I've seen a lot of things in my lifetime that didn't add up. And now, the thing is, they're still going to, the footage they released, boy, they don't have nothing better. When they can see a damn license plate from 300 miles up, and that's the best footage we have of them, bullshit. Okay. Anyway, but yeah, let's get into the Iran war now. Okay? Demons, everybody's got their own opinion about what other than human life is. I'll put it that way. But, one day the truth is going to come out, and human beings one day will have to deal with the truth, whether it's our generations or people that are alive now on this planet. I don't know. But eventually human beings will deal with first contact, you might say. Okay. Anyway, let's get into the war with Iran. Well, I heard the ceasefire, even though they're shooting back and forth at each other, there's still a ceasefire, right? See, the root cause of all Americans are being played by the propaganda, okay? This is all about the U.S. wanting to own something they don't own, plus being talked into a war, or I should say Israel owning something it doesn't own. The greater Israel project, or, whatever. Like I said, I was over there 39 years ago, 87, dealing with the minesweeping crap. And I found out then that a lot of the problem, because I used to pull in the port, I talked to normal people, right? And, I seemed to get the message that the biggest problem in the Middle East is, they don't all get along, but they're a lot more peaceful getting along than when the U.S. and Israel's doing what they're doing. I don't like war at all, okay? That's one thing when you get out of service, you become a little bit more passive because you're more realistic on how fast things can get stupid. Okay, we're playing with fire here in this Iran thing. You know, hey, Sonny, good to see you. Good to see you, Sonny. I appreciate it. Been a long time no see, sir. Anyway, I haven't seen him peach. I think he got rid of me. But anyway, yeah, the Iranian war. Now, I said from the beginning that they could never have a ground war. If we were to have a ground war in Iran, it would have to start. First, there'd be a draft, and then you'd have, well, our manufacturing base is getting all fired up because you're going to have the men, and they're going to need the material. You're looking at a year and a half before you can have a D-Day type scenario. And like I say, where are you going to stage them? It's not like you can stage them where you're only 27 miles away from the French coast or the Iranian coast. So that's just out of the question. They were, oh, you got the Marines out there. Yeah, you know what? Hey, I thought I was bulletproof too. And I thought we could do anything. But back when Reagan was in office, the militaries are a lot different than they are nowadays, okay? And you could still use that World War II type strategy back then. You can't do that now. So it would just be the biggest defeat the U.S. military ever had if they tried dropping in airborne troops and landing Marines. And like I say, the best way would be to just sit there and let them all land and then make it so they couldn't leave. They couldn't be rescued. So they just have a bunch of hostages there that couldn't go anywhere unless they want to swim back to the ships. And you put a ship in the Persian Gulf, the Persian Gulf, okay? If I was Iran, I'd say, yeah, U.S. Navy, come on through the Gulf, the Strait of Hormuz. Come on through. And then once they got the fleet through, then I'd close the Gulf or the Strait of Hormuz. And then talk about a turkey shoot you'd have in the Persian Gulf. But I don't think that they would ever do. It would be suicidal. Any general or admiral or whatever would know that would be crazy time. So I honestly think they could sit there and say, yeah, U.S. Navy, sail your ships through there. And then they would just trap them like all those other ships are. Okay? But yeah, this Iranian war, let's see, gas here has gone up $1.60 since it started, okay? And it was $2.49, so that's like 65% higher than it was before this damn stuff started. Okay, diesel. I mean, can you imagine filling up a semi and it costs you over $2,000? I mean, semis hold 300 gallons, people. And if you're paying $6 to $7, $8 a gallon for diesel, you know, you're $2,000 plus. Plus with all the other expenses truck drivers have. Okay? All I know is they put in a lot of hours. And anybody who's ever driven tired before knows that's about the worst goddamn feeling there is. And they do it for peanuts. So remember, if you stop at a truck stop and you got a trucker that's got the bill check on his table while he's eating, pick up that check and say, I got that for you, sir. You have a safe trip. Maybe we should show our appreciation before we realize we appreciate them. Anyway. Strange way of putting it, isn't it? But yeah, the Iran war is nothing bad for us. Like I say, they couldn't. How were they threatening us? You know, I remember 79. I was 12 years old, 13. During the hostage crisis, Walter Cronkite every night on TV. Okay? What got them to release the hostages? What day did they release the hostages? Oh yeah, the day Ronald Reagan took office after 444 days, because they respected that man enough that he didn't have to drop any goddamn bombs to get his way. Okay, but we have been a pain in the ass of Iran since 1953, when they had their first elected democratic government after 400 years? But that fool had the audacity to say to the British that, hey, we own the oil under our soil. Oh, British goes to the MI6, goes to the fledgling CIA and goes, hey, should we teach you how to overthrow a government? Put in the Shah, and they had to put up with the Shah for 25 years? And they got pissed off enough at that Epstein list piece of shit Shah, little worm for the United States, that the Islamic Revolution happened. The people, over 20% of the people got pissed off enough to overthrow his government. And I do believe, if I remember, the Shah was in Rochester, Minnesota for that clinic there, that hospital there for medical treatment. I think he was there at that time. So he never even had to go back. Anyway, but that's digging into the old memory cells there. Like I say, that's a 12-year-old watching Walter Cronkite. Do you remember a lot of PPL wearing and armbands representing the hostages? I tell you, it was on the news every night. I remember when they sit there and have the Red Cross would go over there and stuff, Christmas time and stuff. Okay, and then when I joined the Marine Corps, it got briefed on some of it. I found out more about it. But, and then it was 52 at the end, but they had released, there was a number of them they had released, I think, over a couple times. And then the last 52 were there for the full 444 days. I think some were released too. But what it boils down to is because the U.S. meddled in other countries' affairs, Americans had to suffer. The Marines were told by the ambassador to put down their weapons. They weren't allowed to fire onto the protesters. They were forced to become prisoners. That's one thing. Marines guard the embassy and the ambassador. They're the ambassador's Secret Service and shit. And the ambassadors, you do what he says. But, just a bad situation. But, Iran's been a pain in our ass for 47 years. Yeah, well, we've been a pain in their ass for 73 years. And if we'd stop trying to put them up our ass, they would be a pain in our ass. I mean, when you take on your neighbor's problems, does that help your household out at all? Or do you sit there if your neighbor mows his lawn a different way than you do? Or, no, let's say he's got a bigger rifle than you, that he could take you out from 1,000 yards instead of 500. Does that mean that all of a sudden you need to sit there and get out? All I know is this is a bunch of shit. It's going to end bad for America. We don't have the money, America. Like I heard consumers are. Consumer debt now is higher than everything is worth, including savings and everything in the United States. All your wages you make. Okay. Then where is the money coming from that these people are still borrowing if we're not worth anything anymore? This is all bad. I mean, all the money they spent, I remember in the first Gulf War, George W. Bush, or the second Gulf War, 2003, when George Bush had to go to Congress and ask for $50 billion to fight the war. $50 billion. And they all went, oh, but they gave it to him. How much money did we spend in 40 days? Plus 100 billion, maybe 200 billion? This is the whole thing with this Iran war. It's showing how weak we are. If we used almost 50% of our high-tech weapons in 40 days bombing Iran, what are we going to do about China when they can sit there and produce them a hell of a lot faster than they can even fire them? I mean, if you study anything about World War II and you read the generals' memoirs, the German generals, it was easy to add up on paper that they couldn't win. The U.S. could sit there and build stuff faster for all the allies, faster than Germans could destroy it. I mean, you get a war of attrition, you better help be able to perform them, building stuff. And since we have no manufacturing here, and then Iran, they're producing hundreds a day. What can we kick out? A $4 million missile, 2 or 3 a month? And that's another thing. All this cost. I mean, the American idea, we'll just throw more money at it. That will fix the problem. What we're seeing throwing more money at our weapons isn't fixing the problem. I mean, it's all this money on war. I mean, I bet you if you add up since February of 2022, between what we give in Ukraine, Israel, Taiwan, and what we spent ourselves now, I mean, are we looking at $1 trillion? And we're supposed to be somehow wanting peace, spending $1 trillion on war? I mean, that's exactly how that makes sense. It's like spending $100 at a bar thinking, well, I'm going to leave sober. I'm going to come drunk, drink $100 worth of stuff, and then I'll leave sober. It's beyond belief. The thing is, people, if we don't get out of there, the U.S. is not going to be immune to the destruction that they are causing. And this blockade they got, what are we going to do? Now they're shooting at Iranian ships. China is only going to stand for so much of this. Okay? If all they know they have to do is start escorting Iranian ships to put an end to all this shit and make the U.S. look like a little, somebody whose bark is worse than their bite, which it is. Okay? That's all they got to start doing. What are we going to do when, like in before we entered World War II, we were escorting British ships, where they just happened to meet up somewhere out in the North Atlantic, and then they decide to run convoy drills, Hey, let's practice. That's how it started. I tell you what, these politicians haven't changed a beat. Okay. Anyway, they're pretty shifty sons of bitches. That's how they get to be in politics. By the way, this Iranian war is just going to end bad for the American. We're already suffering enough. I mean, when throwing money at it doesn't work anymore, then maybe we should try throwing money at peace. So we don't need a $1.7 trillion defense budget. Okay? What should probably be $2.5 trillion next year. Like Trump says, we're winning so much. Everybody's winning so much. That's how you feel, right? Let's just say the right people to keep somebody in power are winning every fucking day. Just like when oil dropped 20-some dollars that day, down to almost $72 a barrel? I think it did hit $72 a barrel. I'd like to see who made money on that. Of course, that will never come out. Unless it was Martha Stewart, then everybody would know how much money she made. But if it's a politician, or their kids, we'll never hear a word about that, will we? Anyway, so I tell you what, I appreciate everybody being here. The few people that YouTube has allowed, please hit that thumbs up, subscribe, and bell notification. Because, like I say, they're slamming down hard. This is another reason I know something big is coming. Because it's not only my channel, it's all conservative channels and liberal Democrat channels that seem to be saying the same thing about the subjects that we are. You know, it's amazing how people's eyes open up when they get glossed over by their God in front of them. Same thing that'll happen to MAGA when Republicans aren't in charge anymore. But I know something, it's got to be. You know, what is it, this disclosure thing? This alien disclosure? I don't know. But yeah, this Iranian war. It's bad news, like I say. What Iranian government policy ever affected you in the United States? Which one? People say they attacked our military. That's what it's like out there, okay? It's been tick for tack, bullshit, high stakes, spy versus spy, ever since I was in the military and years before that. It's just now all of a sudden it's all public. Maybe it's better that the public doesn't know about it, okay? But, you know, something doesn't feel right, okay? And then you got this Hantavirus, all right? And they already got a vaccine they're working on for it and stuff, Hantavirus or whatever it's called, okay? And they're already working on a vaccine for it and stuff, mRNA and all this stupid ass, same ass bullshit, okay? On a cruise ship, remember the cruise ships last time? This is beyond stupid. They're going to try act 2 of this. I'm going to be even more of an asshole on act 2 than I was on act 1. And I lived in Minnesota, believe me. I never wore a mask, never social distance, never went the way of the arrows, went to work every fucking day, never got the vaccine, never got sick. Okay? I knew my rights. I knew the Nuremberg Code. Okay? And there's a lot of people in this country and in the world that need to be charged with crimes against humanity, because any breaking of the 10 principles of the Nuremberg Code is crimes against humanity. Okay? I guess it's time to buy modern age stock again. Moderna stock again. Yeah, I mean, I don't take vaccines. I don't go to the doctor. I've said this before. I am extremely healthy. Okay? But, you know, I've always been hard physical labor for years and stuff. But I'm extremely healthy. But I didn't go to the doctor. When we were kids, we didn't go to the doctor unless we were sick. You didn't go to the doctor to see if you were sick. Okay, now, yeah, we got the smallpox vaccine. And measles, I believe. That was, you know, I got my smallpox scar. You know, that were required. But, you know, what happened? We got vaccinated, and then people could stop getting vaccinated because it was gone. It was cured. Smallpox was only supposed to be in a lab. How come with this other stuff? I mean, for COVID for a while, they thought you needed to take a vaccine every 3 to 4 months. We only went if we were gushing blood. Yeah. And then half the time your parents would tell you to suck it up. Oh, my God. The good old days. You know, we were tough. Yeah, I tell you what, Sonny. Impeach, I don't know if he got rid of me or what, but, you know, if we can't have a disagreement, even with friends, I mean, the guy that I'm in the tree business with, we've been friends for a long time. I used to work for him when he was in the carpentry. And believe me, we don't see eye to eye on a lot of stuff. But we enjoy the time we do spend together. But he's like, why do you waste your time on that social media stuff? That's a waste of time. He has a different attitude than I do. But I don't expect everybody to have my attitude because not everybody was a jarhead. Okay? So, but we get along. We work well together. It's just sometimes our opinions differ. So I just don't understand why people can't get along. Where's it written anywhere that I must think like somebody else or act like somebody else? Okay, I don't expect that for people that emulate me. I'm telling you, the lifestyle I live, as simple as it is, like I say, wringer washer. Okay, like I say, I got my wringer washer in my porch when you come in the house. So if I ever get a woman that's really interested, I'll just bring her home once so she can see that wringer washer, and she'd be like, "What's that?" "It's my wash machine, same one you'd be using." Anyway, there's bigger fish to fry. No time for relationships. We need to save our country. But anyway, yeah, with this Hantavirus and stuff, it's just starting out like the same old thing, no big thing. And then all of a sudden, the next day on the news, they're closing everything down. Schools are closed. Boom, 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 boom. If they feel that they, never let a good crisis go to waste, the government lives for that. So if this would be a good crisis that they could fool people on, I don't know. All I know is we got a lot of distractions going on right now. The war isn't going good. I'm sorry. I realize they're calling it a war in D.C. There's nothing about the Iran war. It's been over 60 days. How can he still be applying military action in Iran if he hasn't got authorization from Congress? See, this, I guess, too, he signed the bill that said all Epstein files will be released so we can see them all. He don't care about that one either. Anyway, I guarantee you that the government created the new virus. Well, the thing is, like AIDS, that was part of the COVID vaccine. The Hantavirus and AIDS were mixed in with the vaccine. And now it seems like the people that are catching it, they got one thing in common. And it's not that they're a pureblood. We've all heard the rumors about getting the population down to 500 million and they're going to control everything. The only people that are going to be left on this planet are the people that stood up to them and said, "Fuck you." All the sheep, they will kill off all their useful idiots. I just got a feeling sometimes people get so much money and they start believing too much of their press that they become fools and jokes and don't realize that everybody can see their course of action. Okay, but we've been on here for almost 45 minutes. Yep, I tell you another thing, Sonny, YouTube. If you've been watching my shorts I've been putting out lately, I tell you what, they're coming to me hard fast. I mean, sitting in my chair watching TV and all of a sudden, bam! Like somebody hit me with a baseball bat and shoved it into my brain. Anyway, and my channel on X has really taken off. That's why I know YouTube's shadow banning the shit out of my channel. I'm putting the same content. Now I'm just like this live stream, I'll sit there and share over to my channel on X. And, it gets good positive response. Like I said, I don't expect everybody to agree with me. There's no way for that. I just want everybody to realize we're all in the Titanic fucking sinking, and we need to save ourselves by coming together, forgetting our differences. God, if we could forget our differences and our divisions for 1 year, this world would be a way different place. And the thing is, if you were able to do that and get that positive vibe going to where it became routine to be good. Could you imagine it being routine to be good instead of routine to be evil or bad? Woo! Awesome time. That's what I want. People, what would you want in this world if you could have anything? I want world peace. Because without that, everything else is fucking pointless. Because somebody in the world somewhere has to suffer. Because somebody wants to be a fucking bully. Anyway. One day of world peace, like that stuff at work. 100 days without an accident at work. Imagine a world calendar. 1 day of peace. We made it 2 days without somebody being killed in anger. 3 days. I know it's a pipe dream, right? Christ couldn't even get that, so I don't think I'll get it either. Anyway, I appreciate everybody being here. Appreciate seeing you again, Sonny. And I don't do lives like I used to anymore. Like I say, you know what it's like trying to sit there and do a job, and YouTube with its they won't fix my AdSense account. They suspended my monetization till I can verify my account, but I'm an individual. You understand this. I'm an individual, not an organization, and they won't switch that setting, and I can't switch it. Otherwise, I've done everything, and I can't delete the account because I can't verify it, and it's got money in it. So all I need is YouTube to take 5 seconds and switch that from organizational to individual. But see, why would you do that in today's world? Like I say, I grew up in a world where you used to fix fucking problems. You had a problem with a business, you fixed it. Okay, you went to the business owner. You can't even get a human being in YouTube. I'm sitting there arguing with AI. I'm still learning. I am not capable of that function. Well, then give me a human being that is. What the hell's wrong with today's world? But see, if you fix a problem, especially in government, that means you can't throw more money at it. Anyway, but that's all I got. But I appreciate everybody being here. And can't wait to see what this week brings. Anyway, but remember, we're at a ceasefire. They're still shooting at each other, blowing stuff up, but we're at a ceasefire. When do you call a war a war? I mean, what is war? War is when you take your military up against another country, right? I think we're at war. Anyway, or maybe the definition has changed. I don't know. Everything's a special military operation these days. Yeah, special. That's right. Anyway, that's all I got for this evening. This is Tom with Hidden Truths. I'm out of here.